But if you really wanted to grow, like try to be unique, try to think something different, right? We're all offering one game. For me, it's like Apex. You got to be better than everyone else to obtain those viewers, right? Like if you want my community, you got to be better than me, essentially.
Matty, thank you very much for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Like when I was thinking about who to have on the podcast, like you jumped out right away. So I really thought that it would be awesome to have you, especially because we're from the same city. Mm-hmm. And that's like how I found you, is like I was just randomly looking on Twitch, and then I looked up Vancouver Tag, and you were one of the first people to pop up, and you were playing Apex. So it was great. It was
match made in heaven, and we finally got to meet like a year later or so.
Exactly.
So it was kind of nice.
It just took a certain person to come from San Diego to bring us all together, but we made it happen.
Literally.
Shout outs to you, Julia, if you ever listen to this. But yeah, man, why don't we just start by introducing yourself and telling us who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Matthew. I go by Mattyceps. And I'm a content creator, I guess, and I just love making people laugh. That's about it, really. So I stream a lot of Apex, lately a lot of Diablo, and then every now and then I just do a little bit of events just to keep things nice and fresh. Yeah.
Nice. We'll get more into the stuff that you do outside of Diablo and Apex as well, because I'm sure that people are dying to hear about that, because I think the stuff that you do is really unique. And again, that's one of the reasons why I brought you on, is just you're really unique in what you do, whether it's your TikToks or your content on stream. So I guess first of all, we'll just start with why did you start streaming?
Yeah, so this was during COVID, probably like the tail end of everything, but there were still restrictions here in our province. My girlfriend got accepted for a fast track for respiratory therapists, which are the people that kind of intubate people with like the tubes, which was like pretty big during COVID, respiratory infection. So we moved out to a small city called Kamloops, and I didn't have any friends or family out there. And she was busy studying, if not attending classes, whether it was online or at campus. So I had a lot of alone time. And then my buddies were starting streaming too. And they're like, hey, you should do it. Or at least, watch us, hang out. And, me being a social butterfly, like it was kind of rough. So I was like, okay, like I'll just give it a try, see what it's like. Hang out in your chat, try to, kind of, what's the word? Obtain the culture of Twitch. And ever since that, it's just kind of that was kind of I made a lot of good friends, and I'm loving it ever since.
Nice. So I guess let's tap into that a little bit more, because you mentioned how you wanted to get used to the culture and stuff. So Twitch was something completely new to you before you started streaming, or like pre-COVID, correct?
Yeah, I had no clue. I mean, I knew what streaming was. You've heard of like the XQC and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, like I get it. But I remember my first time really watching it, and I was like, people are watching this? Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it. People are locked at home, like they couldn't really go out. But I really didn't understand it. And I remember my good buddy Junk, when he started streaming and watching it, he was like saying all these things like, oh yeah, I was the hype train conductor, and we're dropping subs and bits, and people were subbing with primes, and I was just sitting there like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know this thing, but that seems pretty cool. And I had no clue what this was. And then I started watching him and just like enjoying like the meme vibes and like, trolling the streamer. And I was like, you know what, like I really love it. Like, and so then I was like, hey, I'll just start one and stuff like that. So yeah, but it was like very confusing at first.
Yeah, I'll bet. And I think a lot of people, especially if they started streaming before getting into and learning about Twitch, is they probably made a lot of mistakes along the way in terms of, if they started streaming self-promotion, or just not kind of being appropriate for whatever vibe the streamer was. Like, I'm sure there's been times where people who were new to Twitch have gone into someone's stream and was like a little bit sussy, or a little bit, I guess, disrespectful in a way, but they just didn't know, right? Because they didn't know the culture yet. Did you have any of those experiences where you would or did you kind of just passively watch and see what it was like?
I think much like when you go to anyone's like house, it's kind of you kind of check the vibe to see what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So a lot of the times I'm usually just like checking to see how chat rolls and like what the streamer like how they're kind of really, controlling their chat and how they are. Like one time I hopped into the chat and it was like it was almost like a Christian server kind of stream. And I was like, it's like everyone's like very, like, back straight, nose up kind of thing, which is totally fine. Not not saying it's a bad thing. But I remember just saying like a few sussy things to see what it was like. And I was like, oh, I'm about to get banned here. So I should probably pull back a little bit. So it's definitely like checking to see where things is. But, at the end of the day, it's just like the streamer, whatever they want, you got to buy to, right? So otherwise, the mods will be sliding into your DMs, giving you a couple of warnings for sure.
So, Matty, you mentioned that you had watched XQC. Is there
Mhm.
anyone who you took inspiration from? Anyone that jumps out at you?
No, not at all. I've never watched Twitch before starting streaming. If anything, I was watching like Junk, Le Gaston, Milkhound. These are all people that I started watching. I'm more of a like I enjoy the conversation between the streamer and chat as opposed to someone like XQC where their chat is just literally just scrolling like extremely fast and he doesn't even read chat. So my preference is just interaction over just watching someone play or talk about something. So I've never really watched anyone big. Up until like when I started doing a little bit more like event style orientation, I'd probably say someone like Ludwig is someone I take inspiration from. Doug is another inspiration I take some cues from, mainly from like the coding side of things, like giving chat the ability to control my character or to redeem something. Those are probably my inspirations at the moment.
I talked about how I thought that you're really unique, and one of the things you mentioned was the ability for chat to control things in your stream. Can you talk about what some of those things are, and how did you learn to code, or how did what kind of programs you use to allow chat the ability to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of started back in the day when I was first streaming. I think someone asked maybe Aki, what kind of or what kind of food do you normally eat after the stream, or at least always? And I was like, oh, it's burgers. So for a while we were memeing it for a couple of weeks, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'll give you a burger stream. So I did a scuff stream. My setup was next to the kitchen. So I didn't have to move anything, but it was just like a webcam, my Yeti mic that I was just holding and trying to cook a burger. And back then I was about a 4 to 7 viewer Andy, and during that stream, I think I hit around 20, maybe just a little bit more. But I did notice that chat was moving much quicker than I'm used to, and it kind of clicked at me, and I was just like, oh hey, if I do more events, keep things interesting, it'll be better than just streaming Overwatch, which was one of my main game back in the day. So from then, I was kind of just like looking at inspiration, seeing what I could pull and change. And then it kind of led to me learning a few scripts, finding some programs to make things interesting. And then from there, it was just using other programs like Touch Portal, Streamer Bots. There's another one, I forgot what it's called, but I use it. I'm trying to tweak it so I chat can control Diablo and maybe finish a dungeon for me. But anytime I do events, it usually nets way more viewers, way more interaction, and essentially farming more clips for YouTube Shorts and TikToks.
Nice. Right. So I guess on a just in case listeners are wondering, on a difficulty scale, can you talk about like one specific thing that you allow chat to do that's done through coding that changes something on your stream? And I guess on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not very difficult at all and 5 being very difficult to learn, can you talk about one thing and then what the degree of difficulty is with setting it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think probably the hardest thing I've done on stream, um, I would probably say is the GTA stream I did for about a couple weeks. So I had it programs where I had to download a script, change it a little bit, and then upload it to the GTA execute file. And then from there, I had to open up voice attack, which is kind of like it just picks up your words. It's not as good as like Siri or Google, which makes it fun because if you say stuff like purple, but the executable word is like red, it'll just like, oh, you said red, and then it would do something. So from there, like I would, if I were to say stuff, it would spawn like 50 cows in front of me when I'm driving. And the what I had to do was drive from one location to up on top of the hill where the Hollywood sign is. But like saying stuff would spawn ramps, would spawn 5 stars, would spawn cops with rocket launchers, or it would spawn stuff, or it'd make my car like shoot up like 300 feet up in the air, like instantly. So it created a lot of chaos and mayhem, which was super entertaining for chat. And then they could get me to say words as well too. So like, hey, how's your day? And I would talk about it, and then they would distract me, and then all of a sudden I would say that word, and just it'd create a lot of a lot of chaos on there. But the difficulty on it was a lot. I think I spent like a good 25 hours of researching, making sure it works. Because the one thing you don't want to have is when you go live and you try to do it and it's really scuffed, and then you have to like essentially trash it. So there was a lot of time like making sure it works, and I remember having a few friends sit in to make sure it ran very smoothly. But I'd probably rate that one as a 4.5 for me in
Amazing.
terms of difficulty. So
Yeah, streaming isn't always what people think it is, right? Like if you want to do things that are unique, you really have to put in some time. Sometimes it means learning something new, and going to Google Versity or YouTube Versity and figuring things
yeah,
out. But I mean, props to you, man. That's one of the things that we love about your streams. I remember sitting in on a couple of those streams, and it was just absolute mayhem. So, yeah, kudos to you. That was super awesome.
thank you.
But
Yeah,
can
I
you?
don't think people realize how hard it is when you're just like a one person production team too. So without
Yeah.
the knowledge to like, you have to like learn all these things. And yeah, it was difficult, kind of boring, but when it pulls off in a spectacular way, it's all rewarding. So
Nice. Could you talk about maybe something that that chat can do in your stream that was pretty easy for you to set up, but still pretty good in terms of value, entertainment value?
yeah, you could touch port is probably an easy one for most people, and you could set it up to turn off your PC. I'd probably rate that one as like a 1.5. You just have to make sure that like you set it up with, you sign in with your account with Twitch, and then you give it a couple tokens, just some handshakes. That way it get the software in your PC could talk with Twitch chat. And then from there, you could have them turn off your PC if you want. It works better if you have a dual PC setup, so that way the stream doesn't end. But you could also get them to like press maybe T on like your keyboard, and maybe that's like the teleport to go back home in a certain game. You could do fun stuff like that, and that's really maybe 1.5, 2, and you could probably knock that out in like an hour if you're more savvy. Maybe 2 if you're kind of brand new.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally use Touch Portal myself too, and I was like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff, and coding was never my thing, but it's relatively easy to set up, so I can confirm. You can do some really unique stuff with Touch Portal, and for anyone who's listening, Touch Portal, like I think you can pay about $15 Canadian or something like that, and have a lifetime with access to a bunch of different tools. So very well worth it. It's like having a Stream Deck on your phone. So anyone who's out there and on a budget and looking to get something like a Stream Deck, Touch Portal is your friend. So, and you can make use of
100%.
of an old phone that you're not using either. So,
Yeah, or an old tablet that you got from like a deal, something like that. Yeah, 100%.
nice. Okay, so speaking more into your uniqueness, you do something really fun when people raid you. Can you talk about that? Maybe demonstrate it for the people who are watching on YouTube on the video podcast.
Yes, so I don't know where that came from. Man, it was like, I think there's a pretty decent sized clip. I used to have a green screen, and do you know that that meme where like the guy's like turning around and he's like, ooh, and there's like a beautiful girl, and like the girlfriend's like kind of thing. Have you seen that meme before?
I've seen that. There's so many of those, but
Yeah,
I've
there's so
seen that.
many, but it's usually, yeah, it's just like usually with your partner, but then something, and then people usually insert like a PS5 or then Xbox walking by kind of thing. So I had that as my backdrop because the guy was like right here, and someone was like playing like hey, play this sexy song, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Play, like, oh, that's pretty cool. and then I had it on full screen, and I was like, and then someone raided, and I've never met them before, but when someone raids, you have like 0.5 seconds to capture their attention, or as they dip. Like you got to be really quick and attentive, and you got to hit it. You got to hit it fast. So when they raided, I just kind of got up and I started twerking, and like the guy's face was like right there, and my ass was just like kind of twerking towards it, and like people were having a fun time with it. People were laughing, and I was like, hey, like I should probably step this up. So fast forward like 6 months later, I'm in a different place, but I set it up so using a program. I think it's Touch Portal 2 actually. But I did a kind of like a script where the camera would zoom in, and Touch Portal would talk to OBS, and it would trigger it. So it would zoom in, kind of like panning in like that, and then all my lights would trigger to like red and blue, and like the song Pony by Genuine would play, which I'm sure if you know that song, you probably could guess which one it is. So yeah, that would happen, and my chair hates me ever since. So
Yeah, I think you've done some damage to that chair because
yeah,
you work out. You're not the smallest guy.
Yeah, I'm like 230. Shout out to Secret Labs. It's a solid chair. I've been doing it for like a year and a half now, but it's starting to tear. I think I need a new one.
Yeah, 230, 6'2". Yeah, that's gonna do
100%.
some damage to your chair. 6'2", confirmed, guys. I've met him in person.
Confirmed, yes. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, and one of the things you do, which you've done recently, is you've done a moderator purge. So those are fun. Why don't you talk about the moderator and VIP purges, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so every year I kind of do like a purge on the VIPs, and realistically, like it's kind of just like a fail safe to if I VIP someone and they stop showing around. We only have I have like 50 slots, but it gets kind of full, and sometimes it's kind of difficult to take away like a badge. So last year I was like, I'm just gonna do a purge, but in that mindset of being a content creator, like I want to make sure there's content, so that way I can make it into a YouTube video. I can do shorts and TikTok, and that's just how my mind works when I'm streaming. Essentially, if I stream and I don't get like a clip or like YouTube video from it, then I consider it a fail on my end. But I decided, hey, let's make it into an event. It'll be kind of funny. And so I had about, I don't know, 25 VIPs. And then we kind of did a purge. And then this year, everyone's like, oh, it's the purge. It's been a year. Like, we're going to purge them. And all the mods are like, I'm immune to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I kept saying like, oh, yeah, it's the great purge. But chat just, it's the VIP purge, right? And then this year, I wanted to amp it to be a little bit better. Because every year it has to be better. That's kind of my take. That's my mantra. It just has to be better than last year. So this year, sorry, I actually got a cup made, which is actually this one right here for the YouTube people who are watching. I know it's kind of backwards, but it says Mattyceps Purge Survivor. And then this year's winner was Julia, actually. And so I'm going to engrave her name here with a year and ship it out to her. But chat didn't know about this, and it was all a surprise. And when I told them about it, they were pretty happy about it, except for the mods who lost their sword. So it was kind of like a two-part surprise for the community.
Yeah, they'll have a chance to get it back, though, right? So.
Oh yeah, 100%. There'll be more events in the future, and it was a lot of fun. So they're still rioting, by the way. So
yeah. Julia is slowly becoming a VIP, like an actual VIP in your community.
She's the only mod in my channel. I have no VIPs, nothing. So, but it was a fun event, and it was like I said, like that was probably like the most interaction I've gotten when I do stuff like that. So
nice. So I want to tap into this a little bit more because you talked about how you really see yourself as a content creator. So when you're streaming and you don't come out with, some decent clips or something like that, you see it as a fail. So what would you say is your pressure level in terms of creating content or streaming? Does it weigh on you a lot, or do you just find that, hey, you're just always looking to get better?
I would say some days it weighs a little bit. But there's a couple stretches I'm where I don't do events, and I notice that like either the interaction of chat or the viewership kind of drops. So, but at the same time, yes, the pressure is high, but at the same time, it also forces me to do stuff that like I want to do, like doing the mod VIP purge. That day I was like super tired, and like, but I was like, you know what, I need to do this. Like, I need to like, there's almost like the pre-hype, the pre-show where I'm just hyping myself up to do it. There were a couple hard days where I was like, I don't want to stream, but I probably should, just to keep the momentum going, kind of thing. It gets pretty tough, but it also forces me to become a better version of a content creator of what I am. And hopefully, like, I'm always thinking almost every day, actually every day, like, what can I do better? What's the next event I could do? And I usually post like a timeline of events, so that way people have something to look forward to. It's usually 6 months in advance, and yeah, I got a few more things lined up too, so I'm hoping to publish that timeline out too. So
Nice. Do sometimes like ideas just come to you at the most random times, and how do you, I guess, make note of it or jot it down, or do you use your phone? Or anyone who's out there maybe could learn from this.
yeah, I'm like I said, I'm always thinking about it. So I have an app that I just kind of keep all my ideas, and I'll just highlight it, and I'll maybe look back on it when I'm like, okay, I need to do another event. Let's look through the idea book and see what I could pull from that. Like this whole cup idea, that was literally the day of. I was like, oh, I could just do like the VIP, but then change it up and do a mod purge at the same time. Then I was kind of like, well, should I get the cup? And I was like, I called around, got it last minute. It was pretty expensive. One of the mods tried to talk me out. That was actually Julia, which is ironically the winner of the competition. She was like, don't ship it out. Like, it's so expensive. What happens if they don't ship it back? And I was like, yeah, I know, but the content will be fun. And I think it'll be a nice little prize. And it's something I've never seen anyone do, like on Twitch, which I know is pretty big, but I've never seen anyone do any of that kind of stuff. So I thought it was pretty unique and different. And funny enough, yeah, she won. So she's probably not. She's probably not saying don't ship it out now.
Yeah, now she wants it. That's
Yeah,
super ironic
100%.
that she won it. But
Yeah,
mad respect and props for you, because yeah, I can tell it is a lot of work. So really, like, kudos to you. And I think it's a really neat idea because, if it all works right, I'm sure Julie's going to ship it back to you, and then people have something to look forward to next year, and they can have something with them. And people who are around, they're going to be like, oh, never know, next year I might win the cup. So that's super cool, man.
yeah. That's kind of idea. I kind of pulled the idea from like like hockey, right? The Stanley Cup. It goes to the team every year, and you get your name engraved. I thought it was pretty cool. And honestly, like if she doesn't give it back, I'll just buy another cup and same cup and just kind of go again at it, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
We kind of talked about it earlier, and I'd like to lean in on this a little bit more. Because we kind of talked about the pressure of streaming and creating content. So, both you and I were a little bit older. We've got responsibilities. So, how much would you say streaming affects life, or life affects streaming, in terms, like, can you touch on that? And, whether it's work, family, relationships?
Yeah. I think at my stage, like I don't have any kids or pets quite yet. So that frees up, and you're a father, and you've got a dog too. You could probably attest that it's hard to find free time. So I'm pretty lucky in that front, but it's like looking at my timeline, like we're planning to get a golden retriever in the fall. Obviously probably get married and have kids in the next couple of years, give or take. So my schedule is definitely going to change. But in terms of right now, it's I'm constantly thinking of like when's the next content, when's the next edit, when's the next stream, what I gotta do. I wouldn't say it consumes my life, because I do like to make sure I keep a balance with hanging out with the girlfriend, going over to my parents' house for dinner, and just like trying to enjoy life. I would say playing games have kind of changed for sure. Um, it's hard to play a game off stream just because I could stream it and turn into content. So that's probably the one biggest negative I could say about it. Um, and even just that too, it's just kind of like I do it a lot. Do I want to play games today? You know, like
Hmm.
I think that's probably the tough part is trying to find that balance. But I feel like I do a pretty good job at it, and yeah.
Yeah, nice. This isn't your girlfriend's first time hearing about the possibility of marriage and kids, right? You guys talked this over, right? She's not going to
Oh yeah,
find
hundred
out through
percent.
this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 100%.
Cool, cool.
There's like an event I kind of want to plan is like have Chad pick the ring, but I don't know if I want to invest that much money for content. But that would be kind of funny though. I think Chad jokes about it every time and like do a ring stream, do a ring stream. But I was like, maybe not.
That would actually be hilarious. Or maybe you guys can, maybe chat can pick, like, you know, if you go to certain places, they have sort of dummy rings where it's like a replica of the actual ring. Maybe you
Oh
can,
yeah, it's
yeah,
true.
purchase that sort of thing. So maybe keep that in mind. You might be able to make it happen. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. There's yeah. It's definitely in my my app there. How can I turn this into funny content, right? But
Yeah,
I'm not too sure if she has a certain taste. So
yeah,
yeah, we'll see.
nice. So I guess I wanted to ask you too, what do you do to stay motivated? Because, you know, it is a lot of work. For example, when you did your GTA 5 stream, you know, you said you put probably 25 hours extra into it. So this is before actually
Mhm.
producing the content and being live on stream. You know, how do you stay motivated?
Um, that's a good question. I think the way I stay motivated is just basically I think I share like I share a lot of the people in the community. I share a lot of the time slots with. So we have like what's the word, intertwining communities with same viewers, and I think I just try to like I don't know if this is like a toxic I like thought, but I just try to be like, how can I be better to retain those viewers? What can I do to be better? Because if you think about it, if you go to like a food court and there's a just 100-mile stretch of the same streamer streaming Apex, how do I stand out with all those people on that 100-mile stretch of everyone offering you Apex? Hey, I got Apex. Hey, I got Apex. And I think the motivation comes from that. And it's not to say like I'm going to be better. I'm better. And I invite anyone to try to one up me. But I think competition breeds innovation, which means it's better for the viewer. And that's kind of my mantra is try to be a little bit better than someone by offering a better product or entertainment, you know? So for me, I'm stuck in that loop trying to better myself in a way.
Yeah, for sure. I think you know, everyone's worst critic and everyone's, you know, biggest competition is usually themselves. And if you are willing to try and one up yourself every single time, you're going to produce better content. So I think that's super awesome that you do that. You know, with regards to Apex, maybe one day you can hire a couple predators and have a stream sniping sort of thing, right?
Oh my god, dude, bro, that was so like going back to that event. I obviously I did a stream sniping event, which is kind of like a meme on the streaming like scene, like how everyone's trying to stream snipe like the big streamers. So I did one, and I invited my whole community to do it. And I was like, hey, every time you kill me, we add $50 to the pool, and you could use that on Amazon to buy me whatever you want. Which, by the way, most of the things in this room right now is bought by chat with my own money. So I usually do a lot of those events, but because I'm a one-man production team, I didn't really have a gauge, and I didn't really check for everything. But I did hire two predators. One was in the ALGs, and they were just trying to protect me. But unfortunately, their MMR was way too high. But I did have them play on an alt account, but that was way too high. So really, only diamonds and up could get into the lobby at the same time as me. And I guess yeah, Dangles, you're probably like one of the few people that could only stream snipe me. But
Yeah, that was pretty funny. We got in like game after game with you guys and like, where's everyone else? But
yeah, but anyone lower couldn't get in. And yeah, like I said, being one person that could produce this kind of content, it's kind of tough to check everything. And I was paying them by the hour too, so it wasn't like necessarily cheap. Which hindsight, I kind of wish I paid for an extra hour and then try to have like people like Max or Aki, like from like different like bronze, silver to see if they could get in to double check it. But it's kind of hard to check that kind of stuff. Like you need a lot of people to check it, in which case the whole community would know at that point. But it was tough, and I remember people saying it was pretty scuffed, and I was like, I'm sorry, like I'm really trying to be unique, and it was a really good twist to things. But I remember being in a chat with the two Preds, and I was like, hey, I'm doing this event. My community isn't as good as you guys, so like, yeah, kill them, but also can you throw a little bit, because I still want to make sure that like I still need to produce content, and I still want to do the Amazon thing. So like, if just let them kill you a couple times, and they're like, okay, gotcha. But they were really cool guys. Shout out to them. They really enjoyed the idea, and they had a lot of fun with it. So
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you can't foresee everything, but the idea was awesome. Obviously, you put in some money to hire these guys and pay them by the hour. So I think again, I really respect you for what you do and trying to create unique content. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, was just so people can see the ideas that flow through a content creator's head, and the steps that they take, or sometimes the money they invest to make things happen. So good on you, man. Really,
thank you.
I really mean that. So I guess let's talk about too. I mean, felt like we've been talking about the pressures and of streaming and what have you, but let's talk about the things that you really enjoy about streaming. Like, what are your favorite things about streaming?
Honestly, I think what we said at the beginning of the podcast was being able to meet people like you, Dangles. Like Twitch has like brought so many, like a couple of my like good friends are just from Twitch, and it's so nice to meet people IRL, like meeting up with Julia, Prof, and then going off to TwitchCon and meeting like all these people that I've spent so much time with, whether they're hanging in my chat or I'm hanging in their chat. Like I barely watch like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, just because I'd rather be on Twitch and just hang out and have fun. So I think that's the beauty part of it, is just connecting with the people around the world, and then hopefully one day going up to meet them. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not every day that you get to meet someone from across the world or a different country and what have you, and become really close, and then eventually meet in person. It's a really unique thing about streaming and the online community, right? So yeah, super cool. And I guess if we've talked about it a little bit, but if you could give two pieces of advice to anyone who's thinking about streaming, or beginner streamers, even intermediate streamers, can you think of a couple things that you would like to say to them, or a couple pieces of advice that could help them along the way?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends what you want out of streaming. So I think that's very important to ask yourself what you want from streaming. Do you just want to play video games, have someone stop by and just say hi and hang out for a little bit, and then drop you a lurk or leave? Or do you actually want to produce content? And I think that's important to ask yourself what you want to see. But something tells me, because we're humans, when we commit to something, we want to see progress. Like, for instance, like playing guitar. If you're 6 months down the line and you can't play like a couple of chords, then you might get frustrated and upset with yourself. And that's the same thing with streaming. If your viewers count doesn't go up, if your maybe follower count doesn't go up, or maybe even your sub count, like it doesn't go up, then you might mentally take a toll on yourself. So I would probably just set expectations on that, and just see where it goes. But if you really wanted to grow, like try to be unique, try to think something different, right? We're all offering one game. For me, it's like Apex. You got to be better than everyone else to obtain those viewers, right? Like if you want my community, you got to be better than me, essentially. So, work on the fundamentals with audio. Not necessarily you have to go out and buy like our expensive mics, but just like proper placement, some filters will go a long way. And then just like chat interaction, it's always king. I always see people hopping on Discord chats, talking to their Discord chat, but not really talking to their Twitch chat. So you gotta make sure you know what you gotta remind yourself what's king, right? So But other than that, yeah, just ask yourself what you want to do and what you want from it, and always watch your VODs. I feel like that's pretty big too, you know?
Yeah,
And ask yourself, like, is this entertaining? Would I actually watch this? If that's a no, then you need to change something, right?
agreed. Agreed. Can we backtrack a little bit and
Mm.
let's just say you are starting out streaming and you have 0 viewers, or maybe 1 or 2, just your friends helping you out and watching. What would you say to those people who are streaming and they don't have a chat yet? Because some people are going to say that it's easy to say when you have viewers already, and to keep that engagement. Yes, there is some work to engage with chat, but for the people with no one in their chat, what would you say to them?
Stream like you do have an active chat. Like a lot of times with the 0 to 3 viewer Andes, they're just sitting and they're just gaming and they're often not talking a lot. You just have to think back in your mind that like, hey, someone could click in your stream, watch you for 30 seconds, see what you're like. So just try to keep a conversation, just narrate what you're doing. Or if it's like a single player game, just be like, oh, what's over here? Maybe doing this. Just kind of pretend like you're making even like a YouTube video. Just do that when you're live. When you're off stream, the hardest part is networking. You have to network. You have to make friends. Not to steal like their viewers, but and not to be like, hey, I'm a streamer too. How you doing? Well, like, what do you play? Just you kind of want to make friends, and eventually, when you make friends, they'll probably naturally want to support you too, or they might find out you're a streamer, and then from there, you kind of just grow together. And then yeah, and then obviously the biggest thing I could probably say is if you've been streaming for months and you're still stuck at like the 1 to 3 viewer Andy, then you need to plan your content. Like not saying you have to because it's a lot of work, but if you really want to grow, you need to plan content and not just like, oh, I'm playing Apex on Thursday and then Friday I'm playing Stardew Valley. Like you need to seriously do like unique things to really draw attention to build up some buzz. But if you're just a 1 to viewer Andy, just work on the fundamentals and network, and just make sure you're always talking, even if no one's chatting in your chat.
Yeah, super powerful advice. Thank you for mentioning that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You basically, I think you've touched on it as well, as you have to see your stream as entertainment. You are an entertainer, and you basically want to set yourself up so that you can have a couple clips or things like that that you can repurpose into other content so that people can find you. Because as we all know, Twitch is really saturated, and say for people like you and I who love playing Apex on stream, you've got to do something that sets you apart, whether that's hiring predators or having a forehead cam, something like that. Anything to anything to stand out, right, amongst the crowd who's just playing Apex, because we all know unless you are one of the top players in the world, people aren't gonna. And even then, I've seen Apex predators who stream and they've got nobody. So props to you, Matty, because I know you work really hard on your content.
Yeah, no, and I seriously I appreciate it. And like you said, like people go to Timmy, people go to Asu because what content are they providing? Top tier, like wiping the whole lobby with like 10k damage, and that's what people go there to see, right? So you need to ask yourself, what kind of content would you give someone, whether it's making like very entertaining redeemables, like redemptions, channel retentions, or just keeping a good conversation flowing. Because at the end of the day, you can't rely on chat to be the crutch of the conversation. You have to be the focal point. So you have to keep chat engaging, right? You can't just say, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Cool. And then just go back to Apex. Like you have to ask interesting things to keep the conversation flowing, right? You have to, it's your responsibility to keep them engaged. So
Nice. What can viewers expect when they hop into your stream? What kind of vibe? What kind of chaos, or what are the things that you do to I guess stand out and just keep people engaged?
yeah, so if you were to hop in and check it out for a little bit, honestly, the community is. I'm still amazed how I was able to build such a community. There are a lot of memes that are a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. Hella sussy baka, which I know it's not for everyone, but we just love to have a lot of fun, and it's a loving community. Everyone's there to support each other. But yeah, if you tune in, there's a lot of redemption. There's a lot of events going on. Essentially, spending my money. We'll do a lot of fun things, and maybe next year you could probably even win this cup. I'll ship it to you and pay for all the shipping back. So, but yeah.
Nice. All right, man. So, having said that, where can everyone find you? Drop your socials so everyone can find Mattyceps.
Yeah, I'm Mattyceps, Mattyceps, kind of like biceps, just without the bi. On everything, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube as well too. So yeah, come check me out. I'll be live, and if you're listening to this podcast or watching it, I'll make you VIP of the channel. All you have to do is just clip this segment and just DM it to me.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely gonna clip this and send it over to you.
Wait a minute.
No,
Wait,
man,
how'd you clip it so fast?
yeah, it's already there. I
Yeah.
also sent you another picture for science research purposes.
Yeah, and anatomy. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a big picture. Anyways, thank you, Matty, for being here. I really appreciate it. I was so happy that you agreed to come on and join the podcast and give your thoughts on content creation and streaming. Hopefully, everyone has learned a lot from Matty, and they visit. Hopefully, everyone visits your stream as well. For anyone who isn't part of Matty's community already, check him out. Again, it's Mattyceps across all his socials, and he's probably live. So make sure that you check him out, say hi, and hang out, because I guarantee you'll have a great time.
And thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Matty. If you made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I truly hope that you found value in this episode. Once again, this has been the Small Streamer, Big Dreamer podcast. I'm Dangles. You're awesome. Keep dreaming big. And since you're already here, check out this episode where I talk to my friend, Why the Average Nerd, about his failed partner push and the roller coaster of a ride he was on. I don't know how long I need to keep my hand here for, but it's here.